Hello and welcome back to the Knights of the Old Republic lore run here in GreyJedi91. And in the last episode we left off and I said we were going to talk to Zelka, who's that guy over there, who's a doctor here in the upper city of Taris. So without further ado, let's see what this guy's up to.
I see from your appearance that you are an off-worlder. Still, you're welcome here. I'll not have it said that Zelka refused to help somebody just because they weren't a citizen of Taris. Do you require healing or medical supplies? I can treat almost any injury or ailment right here at the medical facility. Except the Rakghoul disease, of course.
So I want to take a minute to give a shout out to the voice actor here. Darren Norris, I think is his name. You may know him as Cosmo, the wacky fairy godparent from the Fairly Odd Parents. And also he returned to do the voice of Godo, or G0T0, in the sequel, Knights of the Republic 2, The Sith Lords, who becomes a party member of the Jedi Exiles. But moving on with this, talking about Zelka as a character, already I like this guy compared to some of the other Tarisian natives that we've come across. He's anything but a xenophobic asshole idiot face. He's quite the opposite of that. Anyway, he mentioned a Rakghoul disease. Now, there's a fair amount to this. Let's go ahead and let's broach that subject now.
The terrible affliction has plagued Taris for many generations. It is spread by the Rakghouls, horrible monsters that live in the Undercity below Taris's great skyscrapers. Prolonged exposure to the Undercity breeds the disease, and those infected will eventually mutate into Rakghouls themselves, becoming mindless beasts that feed on the flesh of others.
Is there no cure?
There is no antidote for the disease, though I heard the Republic scientists at the military base here on Taris were close to perfecting a cure. Then the Sith arrived. They overran the military base, and now they refuse to allow anyone access to the laboratories inside. The Sith are keeping all the serum for the patrols they send into the Undercity. If I could just get my hands on a sample of that serum, the Rakghoul disease could be wiped from the face of Taris forever. But I don't see how that's going to happen.
What he just said is an interesting idea, and how quickly Taris changes hats. I mentioned in the last episode where I took you through basically Tarisian history up to this point. But in terms of the military occupation, just how whoever's in power here, that seems to alternate. They're like playing a game of musical chairs on Taris. 1 minute it's the Mandalorians, the next minute it's the Republic, next it's the Sith. Whatever happened to the planetary government? That's sort of waxes and wanes in terms of power and influence as time goes on. In the middle of all this, so the people here, they're just sort of they don't know if they're coming or going. There's very little stability here, and what he just said is interesting. The Sith did not develop a cure for the Rakghoul Plague. The Republic scientists working on that did. That's just some interesting food for thought, considering that's sort of the typical modus operandi for the Sith in general. Mace Windu is attributed with the quote saying that Jedi create light. Jedi actively create light, where Sith merely use the darkness that has always been there. They're a bit like hermit crabs in that way. Scavengers, they just sort of meld into their environment and take over and utilize what's already there. They show up here, they find that there's a cure, they're like, great, it's ours now. But they didn't actually develop it themselves. So this is like a clear act of villainy, and just sort of miserly, whatever the insert word that means lack of altruism here for the Sith. This is an example of them being bad people. In the prior episode, we had examples of them being perhaps not good, but not morally wrong. They're just sort of normal, sort of neutral. We saw that in the example of Sarna, who we'll meet later in this episode. I'm going to take you there before I hang up the phone with you guys today. Anyway, the Rakghoul Plague has roots with the Sith, oddly enough, given that they themselves are not the ones innovating a cure for the project, or for the plague, rather. The Rakghoul Plague, it has roots in the ancient Sith, one in particular named Karnus Mur, who figures heavily into. Well, he was part of an interesting project, which was meant to. It was a story that bridged the four four major publications or Star Wars Dark Horse comic book titles that were in publication at the same time. It would be Knights of the Old Republic, the story I mentioned before with Zane Carrick, that comic line. Star Wars Rebellion. Before that, chronologically, would have been Star Wars Dark Times, and of course, the far more popular Star Wars Legacy, the story that takes place 130-ish years after the Battle of Yavin, featuring Cade Skywalker's journey and all that. Anyway, that's what that storyline was, or dealt with, was the Mir Talisman. And it was sort of it was an attempt to bridge all four of those comic book lines and tell a singular cohesive story that both advanced the plot of their separate of those separate publications, and also was its own self-contained arc. Only partially successful, if you ask me, but still essential reading, most especially with respect to the progression of the Legacy books. You simply can't understand the entirety of that line without going through the Vector arc. This also, of course, if you don't know what I'm talking about, if maybe it'll jog your memory, the character of Celeste Morn. This is basically her arc that I'm referencing as well, her and Carnus Mir's sort of combined storyline. In any case, I'll get further into the history of the Rakghouls when we actually encounter them, because they're a big part of the history for Taris, and they also, let's say that they have a legacy well beyond this game, because they return in a big way in the Old Republic MMO. For now, I'll volunteer my services and tell Zelka that maybe I could find a way to get my hands on that serum.
I don't see how anyone could get their hands on that serum. The military base is crawling with Sith guards. Breaking in there would be a suicide mission. I suppose the Sith patrols in the Undercity might have a sample of the serum on them, if they hadn't already used it because of a Rakghoul infection. But I doubt a patrol would just hand the serum over, and nobody is stupid enough to attack one of the Sith patrols, even in the Undercity.
Raise his hand. I'm stupid enough. Don't worry, Zelka. I'll get that serum for you.
Please, don't say that. If the Sith hear you, they might think I'm suggesting you start attacking their patrols. They could shut me down. I only mentioned the serum because you asked. I don't actually expect anyone to get me the serum. Now, is there anything else I can do for you?
I want to ask you some questions.
I am quite busy maintaining the facility, but I suppose I could spare a bit of time to answer some questions. What would you like to know?
Let's see, how do you feel about the Sith?
I know enough to be scared of them. I've heard about the brutality of the Sith. I know what they do to the planets they conquer. So far, all they've done is ask me some general questions, but I'm afraid they might one day decide to shut this facility down simply out of evil spite. I guess there's not much I can do about the Sith, except hope that the Republic finds a way to stop their conquest of the entire galaxy.
He referenced that he mentioned that he's heard what the Sith do to worlds that they conquer, both talking about the sort of brutal occupations, but also, I mean, it's good foreshadowing for what does eventually happen to Taris, but it also calls to mind what Karth told us happened to his own homeworld, Telos 4. The Sith have leveled planets before in the past, primarily once Malak got into command, which we'll talk about him later. For now, let's see. I want to ask you something else.
I am quite busy maintaining the facility.
Yeah, I know. You told me that. Let's see. Information on Taris.
I don't know much, but I'll tell you what I can. Do you want to know about Upper Taris, or are you more interested in Lower Taris and the Undercity?
I think we have a handle on the Upper City. Let's talk about the Lower City.
The Lower City has been overrun by swoop gangs and thugs. If you're going to travel down there, you'd better go armed. If you don't get attacked by one of the swoop gangs, you'll probably end up beaten and robbed by one of Davik's thugs. Soon it will be as bad as the Undercity.
Tell me about the Undercity.
The Undercity is a wasteland, crawling with flesh-eating mutants called Rakghouls. I feel sorry for the outcasts that are forced to live there.
Outcasts?
Justice here on Taris is swift and harsh. There are only two punishments: execution or banishment to the Undercity. Anyone banished can never return on pain of death. Even their descendants are forced to live in the depths beneath our great cities. Whenever I can, I send supplies to the Undercity to help ease the misery of their lives. Although there is nothing I can do to help those infected with the Rakghoul disease.
And that right there is one of the reasons why Zelkoforn is one of my personal favorite random people that you'll ever encounter in this game. The man truly is looking out for his fellow man, you know. The idea of braving the lower city just to deliver supplies to the descendants of criminals who are forced to live in the Undercity because of Taris's fucked up laws. I mean, this guy, he's a quiet hero, but he's a hero. And little nuances like these are the things that I really love about this game, and the reason I come back to it. Once you know the story, you know the story. But getting a chance to interact with these characters, learn more about them, figure out all those, the thousands upon thousands of tiny little interactions and stories that exist here in this larger narrative. That's what I love about this game so much. That's why it's a more personal favorite Star Wars experience to me than even the classic films themselves, because I feel like I have an impact in the setting and I get to meet other people who do as well. I get to walk up and shake their hand, you know? I'll be going now.
Goodbye, and good health to you. If you ever need any medical aid or treatment, you know where to find me.
Now, he also mentioned that he didn't want word getting around to the Sith that he might have suggested attacking their patrols because they could shut him down. I mean, close his clinic here.
On it. It's open.
But this...
What are you doing? Don't go in there! That door is for employees only!
Hey, I recognize these men. The Republic soldiers.
You recognize these soldiers? But how? Unless you're a friend of the Republic.
I'm a friend of the Republic. You can trust me.
I guess I'd better tell you what's going on. I only hope the Sith don't find out what I've done. Since the space battle overhead, people have been secretly bringing in these Republic soldiers who crash-landed on the planet. I had to take them in. What choice did I have? Their injuries are terrible. Most won't survive. But at least I can make their last days more comfortable. And at least here they're hidden away from the Sith.
Well, for that you have my thanks. It's good to know that at least some of these men ended up in compassionate hands.
I hate to imagine what the Sith would do if they discovered these soldiers here. But since their initial questioning, the Sith have not returned, so it may be my fears are unfounded.
Is there anything I can do to help?
I'm afraid there's nothing more anyone can do for these soldiers. Now, if you'll excuse me, I should return to the front in case anyone comes in needing medical attention.
Like I was getting at, he's concerned because the Sith might shut him down at the suggestion, or if they heard that he might have suggested I attack them to get the serum for the Rakghoul Plague. But if they were to find out that he was doing this, housing the enemy, they would execute him on the spot. It's already been established in the news broadcasts and talking to the common people on the street, getting information from folks, that collusion with the enemy, the Republic that is punishable by death. The same practice was visited upon the citizens of Taris by the Mandalorians under Cass's Fett during the siege of Taris years earlier, sort of during the middle of the Mandalorian Wars, well before Revan reclaimed the planet in the name of the Republic.
Psst, you there. Wait a minute. I need to talk to you about the Rakghoul serum. I've got an offer for you might want to hear.
An offer? What are you talking about?
Zelka isn't the only one who wants to get his hands on the Rakghoul serum. Davik Kang will pay you 10 times what Zelka can if you can get the cure.
We've heard a lot about this. We've heard people mention this name a lot, this Davik Kang, but who is that?
Oh, come on. Everybody knows who Davik Kang is. He's the big boss around here. Gambling, smuggling, extortion. He's got a piece of all the action on Taris.
You mean Davik's a crime lord?
I prefer to think of him as a role model. He started with nothing, and now he's got it all. Credits, power, women. It's the Tarisian dream, right?
Which is interesting the way that he phrases that, because in terms of cinematic history, most gangster movies are seen as sort of a take, whether it's they're seen as a take on the American dream. It's sort of a perversion of it in many ways. Everything from Goodfellas to Scarface, it's all about sort of like this foreigner or descendant of foreigners or people that were down on their luck, who came to America looking for a better start and found it by turning to a life of crime. So the Tarisian dream, interesting how you phrased that. Let's see. I'm really not interested in helping this guy or Davik, but we may as well ask him, why do you care who gets the cure?
Look, Zelka can't afford to pay me much. If you sell the serum to Davik, I can probably get a nice finder's fee for directing you to him.
What if I tell Zelka you're helping Davik get the cure?
I'll just deny it. Who's Zelka gonna believe? Me or some off-world stranger? Now be smart about this. You'll get a better deal selling to Davik.
I think I'd rather give the serum to Zelka. He'll use it to help people.
Helping people is all well and good, but you have to help yourself first, right? I'm telling you, Davik will pay big credits for the cure. More than Zelka could ever afford.
And then only the rich could afford the cure. Just let the poor suffer, right?
If you find the Rakghoul serum, just take it to Zax in the lower city bounty office. He works for Davik. He'll pay you what that cure is really worth.
Yeah, there's really no... I mentioned before that I'm not going to go strictly light side. There are times, but admittedly they'll be rather few and far between, where I'll take a more neutral or morally ambiguous or even outright dark option. This ain't one of those times. There is no upside to doing this other than I might line my pockets a bit. Zelka would replicate the cure and pass it out free of charge. He would do it in the name of goodwill to his fellow man. There was no reason for me to turn it into the crime boss just to line my pockets a bit. And that's the thing about light side playthroughs versus dark side playthroughs. Generally speaking, you'll get more experience points for going like the extra mile and doing things in a way that requires generally more effort. There are a few quests, don't get me wrong. There are a few quests in this game where you do a lot more legwork and you actually have to put in more effort to do things the dark side way. But there's like only 3 or 4 that I can think of off the top of my head at the moment. Generally speaking, the light side, the dark side is quicker and easier, as Yoda said, right? And you get more experience points for doing things the light-sided way, and you generally get more money for doing things the dark-sided way. And even a Sith, though, I mean, unless you were like Cordis, like one of the actually hopelessly ostentatious and petty Sith Lords, or like maybe Andedu or somebody like that, material possessions, they just don't mean as much. Even most Sith, they live more in the Force than that. It's just not a strong motivation. I'm not being given a strong motivation to go dark in the first place, is my point. I guess we'll talk with this guy. Well, will we? Let's see. Yeah, I've got enough credits, I think, to swing this.
Please don't hurt me. You don't have to kill me. I'll have Davik's money if he just gives me a little more time. Please. I don't want to die. Here, I've got 50 credits on me. That's all I've got. It's yours. Just don't tell Davik where I'm hiding, okay? I'm begging you.
Once again, Davik's terrorizing somebody. What are you babbling about?
You mean you're not here to kill me? But I thought you were one of Davik's bounty hunters. If you're not here to kill me, what do you want?
Can't really blame him for thinking that, considering I just crushed in his door and I have a double sword in my hand and battle armor. But no, I'm just looking around. Let's see. Maybe I could help you with your problem with Davik, because I've heard a lot about this guy, and he's getting under my skin.
I don't think anyone can help me. I owe Davik money, and I was late with the payment. So he went to Zach's in the bounty office and put a price on my head. I've been hiding here ever since. But sooner or later, someone will find me. Unless I somehow come up with another 200 credits. I'm a dead man.
Now, I've made the criticism in the past of this particular part of the quest chain where it seems like you're just sort of handing out money and sort of throwing money at the problem. But the thing is, I've loaned out money to various friends, family members, even just random people that I don't really know, for much less than this. This will save this man's life. I would do this if I was in this position and if I had the ability to do it. This is in my character to do it. However, it's not the most interesting. It's not the most interesting solution to this quest from a narrative point of view. The nice thing is that there are a total of, I can't remember exactly, between 4 and 6 bounties, I would say, and most of them have more satisfying resolutions than this one. This is easily the most boring result, but we'll approach the other ones and talk about them in time.
You'd give 200 credits to a stranger just to help them out? I don't believe it. Well, thank you.
Wow, that sure was generous of you. I just hope we don't end up needing those credits later on.
Now I can pay off Davik. Oh, thank you. You've saved my life. I better go give this to Davik right away.
Yes, you had. Guy was holding out on me. He had 68 credits, not 50. So anyway, the reason we came here actually is we are looking for the Sith get-together, the ice cream social that they're hosting in room 4B or whatever. And that's where we're gonna jack their suits so we can get into the lower city, where only Sith patrols are currently allowed to take the elevator. Here we go.
Hey, you made it. I was beginning to wonder if you were going to show. The party's in full swing. Come on in. You have to try this Tarisian ale. It's fantastic. We should have conquered this planet ages ago.
Careful, Sana. That wine's got quite the kick. A couple more bottles and we'll all be passed out on the floor.
Who cares? We're not on duty tomorrow. Let's live a little. Come on, drink up.
My kind of lady. Okay, and the interesting thing, the fun thing is, when I was a kid, I would equip that suit for the purposes that I needed it for, and then I would take it right off. But the funny thing is that if you put it on now, people will react to you.
You're one of them Sith, ain't you? My mommy says I'm not supposed to talk to you.
What?
Karth, give me a hand here.
On it. It's open.
Sure.
I'm sorry. I don't want to get in the way of official Sith business.
Let's see. Just an interesting little side detail that, again, just going that extra mile. There was really no need for them to put that in, but it's amusing. And it's more believable. I mean, how many RPGs have you played where you just equip whatever and it doesn't, the way that you look, your appearance, it makes no difference on the way people perceive you or react to you. And in a game this old and dated, they still thought to include something like that. So we're in the northern part of Taris, of the upper city. And it's interesting that this is the area where you do find the occasional alien to interact with. At some point, over in this general region there will be an Ithorian who's being accosted by a group of human shitheads. I mean children. And over in this corner, there's a droid shop run by a Twi'lek. I think we'll go talk with her. You have to talk with her to progress the plotline at some point, but not right now. Right now I'm just taking you through on a tour of Upper City Terrace. Wouldn't be complete without a stop at, let's see, can I remember her name? I want to say it's like Janice or something like that. Let's see how close I am. Janice no. Boy, I'm a nerd. Wow.
Kin kon shi kakachin awana wamata. Nishi la chorga kin kun pala mona reji. Ching pala niska mule dun ratatigen potranko. The searcha doma wana kondatama. We timembo rang thong. Mule ra on shaturing ni patoga wanga chonzi tse. Ika krotu hakujije. Watu yama kama wuna henak neck.
She couldn't believe her eyes, the way that was scripted. What? A customer? Well, this is a store, right? But that's how downtrodden the aliens are on this planet. People won't give her their business, even though that they need these resources. That's an interesting point. She owns a droid shop. She has multiple droids for sale in this shop, and yet in the apartment building that we're staying in, the janitor is a human. They have an old man doing that job. Perhaps because they're so stubborn and so xenophobic that they won't shop at this woman's store and buy a goddamned cleaning droid. Think about that.
Kipuna, bona na kichu. Kin ba mule radwana. Tong kin ba no kudnok nek. Kava numpa kumpialia monokata. Ranga kun bis kin no moruat. Kakin chana guana brakon.
You'd think people would be a little more tolerant of others in this day and age. I guess stupidity and ignorance will never go out of style.
Genchopa chawi tichok twis yun kun. Watu yama kama wuna henak nek. Bugra shak kunti chiwa chawa. Dong abuk shami nonok. China pala mule. Dong ki ba non tontek. Dun ni chachon kun ne mule brabast.
Let's see. Utility droids, what do they do?
Kin kon shi kakachin awana wamata. Nishi la chorga kin kun pala mona reji. Ching pala niska mule dun ratatigen potranko. The searcha doma wana kondatama. Kuyami jvuk chikchita na patogta. Yafulke gogala jiji. Ka wana boda atugawa. Kanki do rakun watimi alabola.
Let me see your droids.
Kakin cha na guat na bon kon. Wana kumbes. Chi pala mulek. Tong ki pa nagnonek. Tu nik ton chun chun ke nemolek rabest. Wuf mala nibo kurk.
Tell me about the top of the line T3M4. Now she mentioned it's not for sale, but I don't remember if she'll tell me about it right now anyway.
Bona na kachu. Kicha badwang. Wanga kum
Top-notch
kiba
code breaker,
mulera kakin
expert
chak
security.
gawa bakon. Donk kiba nukunek. Tanga boksha nagnong. Mucha shakapaka. Yi ki kun no ba muladraki chichon.
So she basically just described all the things that make R2-D2 so handy. But unfortunately she said that he's a custom job that she's holding for a very special buyer. And she apologizes for this. Again, you know, these people, in her case, is not the voice acting because this is the same standard Twi'lek spiel, just voiced by one of the female voice actresses. But the way that it's scripted, she's a well-mannered person, downtrodden a bit, but also sort of cautiously optimistic, trying to sell you on what she's got, looking forward to a brighter tomorrow. The way that it's written, her dialogue, is what makes her stand out. Let's see, I'll ask you some questions.
Let's
see, how do you feel about the Sith?
Kavadumpa kapalia monapata. Bonanakachu. Yin kin kun no ba mule rachi kun. Tong nabun shanuyang. Chinapala mule. Tong ki ba non tontek. Duni chachon kun ne mule brabast.
She talks like about droids the way people talk about their dogs and pets. No such thing as a bad droid, but sometimes they fall in with bad owners. In most cases, I can't say I disagree with her. Now you can purchase this little guy, this T3H8 from her, but kind of a waste of time, really. She mentioned that one's like rebuilt, and whereas T3M4 is top of the line custom job. So this sort of refurbished piece of hardware breaks down as soon as you take it out of the store, and you can take it back for a refund. And if you're an asshole, you can threaten her into, you can extort her, get more money out of her, more than you paid originally, because you'll threaten to badmouth her around town or whatever and ruin what tiny reputation she has left. But really, there's no point to doing that other than getting some dark side points. So I think at this point, can't think, did I want to do anything else before we go down there? We'll come back up here, of course. Yeah, I guess I've concluded all business for the moment. Let's head to the lower city.
Another patrol heading down to the lower city, eh? Well, good luck. I've heard it's pretty rough down there. There's a big swoop gang war going on, you know. You better watch yourself. Those gangs will take a shot at anyone, even us. It's too bad we don't have the manpower just to sweep those slums clean.
So now we have access there. I just had a thought. I wonder, this is that crazy racist guy from last time. I wonder if we talk to him as a Sith, what he says.
A plague spreads through our streets. Greetings, my Sith friends. Rest assured I have all the proper permits to be here, spreading my message. Feel free to stay and listen if you wish. You'll find my message most enlightening.
Wish I could shut him down. Not to inhibit free speech, but I mean, the guy's just a hate monger. And interesting to note that inhibiting free speech on a planet like Taris wouldn't be that out of place. It's mentioned that the Sith are censoring all of the news broadcasts as it is. Interesting detail there. Seeing a ship dock. Nice view. Anyway, back to the matter at hand. Going to the lower city. So here we have a taste of what people have been warning us about. There's a dangerous sort of street war between two rival gangs down here.
Yinkin kunoba mulirachi kun tong na bunsha nyunyang. Kavavol pamulji kamana.
Ichuta yun patisa kingbanik chalora kun.
No! Kipuna! Kavatumpa kulpayiya moka paata! Chiyoka kutumpa kulpayiya!
I'm not sure what these guys are, like what their species is. If anybody knows in the comments, please tell me. I don't recall seeing them or having them discussed in other forms of media outside of this game, and I think they may have actually been created for this game. I'm not sure if their species was given a name. You know, I could just be displaying a vast ignorance here, of course, but go ahead and tell me what you guys know about them. Interesting to note, though, that the Black Vulkars, which is, they're the bad gang, they're pretty well homogenized. Mostly, for the most part, their ranks are made up of this race, whatever it is. The Hidden Becks tend to be a bit more eclectic, and there's members of multiple other species.
You asked for this!
Running low on health there. Now down here, it was mentioned that by the Sith guarding the elevator door up above, that's sort of a risk sending Sith patrols down here, because as is sort of as mimics real life, like down here in this sort of downtrodden sort of ghetto, there's not a lot of respect for authority down here, and even the Sith aren't safe. So you can't keep your costume on, or your suit, whatever, like your disguise. You can't keep that on because you're actively discriminated against. Not only are you outright attacked by these people, which, don't get me wrong, this bunch would attack you anyway because they're enemies. They're sentries guarding a gate, and you're encroaching on their territory. So there's no talking to these people. But my point is, the audio's too loud. I'll finish my point in a second. Yeah, I'm not used to being this weak with this at this stage in the game. Built my character a little differently than I normally do. So yeah, as I was saying, you know, you'd be attacked by these guys no matter how you were dressed, because that's sort of their duty. But you're not allowed entry into the cantina, for example, if you keep your Sith uniform on. You know, let's see, how close are we to the next level? Try to get some more experience. I'm pretty weak in combat. I'm gonna fight as little as I can for now. We'll come back and explore these areas. We'll head into the cantina here. Like this guy, he would not permit you entry if you try, like, at least I believe so. I'll try. I haven't tried this in years. I might be making it up in my brain, but I'm pretty sure. Hold on. The Sith commanders have said I can't let any of you... Ah, okay. Just because they won't let you in because... Okay, so like the Sith command is like, don't let our troopers in when they're on duty. So that's interesting. The Sith are trying to police themselves. They got like a lot of lazy Sith come here on their off-duty time when they should be working.
Chon muli ra tong pa akat intutune chino molira ni bubo tong king ba no kun nexag ta hupa da tenya ji juju piti chiwa aita kang kicha na chupornibo kun muli ra slimo poiwanga tong itwama ji human ak in ikatune chiwi aita ka chong chicha agi inko tune chuna muli ra tong itwama ji kuna.
Not sure I'd be afraid of a Rhodian bouncer. But we'll do it as he says anyway. Because we have to. Kinda have to. So this guy, Uriah, I believe that this guy sells specialty Pazak cards, which we didn't talk about that in the last episode because I didn't buy the deck from the old guy in the other cantina. We might before we leave the planet though. Pazak is just sort of like a little mini game where you can earn a little extra cash here and there. It's kind of like blackjack basically. This dude here, I believe he's a you can play him. He's one of the people you can play Pazak with, but allegedly he's some sort of cheater. I'm not sure if you can actually beat this guy.
Go away.
Nichu, Kimba muli radwanaji, Kimba no kunixet abog, Kakincha nawabakaon, Tung abashun ni chunchi.
Kipuna! Kavatumpa kulpaiya moka paata. Chiyoka kutumpa kulpaiya.
One.
Oscar, Chiska Nichu, the Hoopa Botania go GGPT.
Ki puna, kavatumpa ku palea muka bata, Gioka ku tumpa ku pelea.
2.
Giokaku, Kinba Mulira Dwanaji, Kuyami Juski Chika Nai, Ubabaska Dwana Chichopa Muska, Chiska da Soki Kupa Bona na Chachu.
Tune pudu, rananu prata donko shirkasha, chum apike.
3. Go away.
I saw how you mopped up those black Volkers. Nice work.
1.
If you actually push him all the way to 3, I'm not looking for a fight. I just want to talk.
2.
He'll do the same thing to you that he just did to them, and there's no way you can defend against it. He's, well, you actually are able to fight him, but he's like invincible, so it's a cheap fight. Okay, I see your point. I'll be off then.
Smart.
I have my chance to kill you later, little man. Gotta watch those little guys, though. Just because they're short doesn't mean they're not tough. Danny Trejo's a good example of that. That fool is short.
I told you to leave me alone. So give me some space, Bug-Eye. Your breath smells like bantha poodoo.
Kuyami Juski Chika Nai, Tong Patoga Smaktilia, Tabi Dubong Kunki Pankpa, Tong Itwamaji, Human Act in Ikatune.
Who you calling little girl, Chuba Face?
Ubabatu Conchi, Jiska da Soki Kupa Bona na Chachu.
Just a sec, boys. Zaalbar, a little help here? I need you to rip the legs off some insects. Quit complaining. You can finish eating later. Besides, you need the exercise, so get over here.
Giokaku, Kinba Mulira Dwanaji, Kuyami Juski Chika Nai, Ubabaska Dwana Chichopa Muska, Jiska da Soki Kupa Bona na Chachu.
You got a problem with me? Then you got a problem with Big Z. So unless you want to take on my furry friend, I suggest you greenies hop on out of here.
Chubasa, Kinba Mulira Dwanaji, Kaba Volpa Murji Gumaya.
So here we have our sort of Han Solo / Chewbacca homages. I don't want to call them ripoffs. They're their own separate characters. Well, as much as they can be. Zaalbar's, standard Wookiee character. Not that interesting of a character for me, Zaalbar, but the situation on his home planet, which we'll visit later, is very fascinating. So I'm glad he's in this game. Mission... we'll talk about Mission later. She has an engaging personality, and I like her as a character. I just wish they'd given her a bit more to do. I'll say that up front. But, in case you didn't know, and in case I didn't make it clear, these two become party members eventually. We're just now meeting them for the first time, though.
Say, I don't recognize you, and I know pretty much everyone in the lower city. You must be new down here. I guess that makes me and Big Z your official welcoming committee.
Hey, we speak the same language.
It's not that strange. Most aliens can speak basic, they just prefer to use their own language. But I grew up here on Taris, so I just sort of got used to speaking the native tongue.
You showed a lot of guts dealing with those Volkers, kid. You got a name?
My name's Mission Veo, and this big Wookiee is my best friend Zaalbar. I'd offer to give you a tour, but the streets down here aren't safe. But if there's anything else you need...
How do a Wookiee and a Twi'lek street urchin end up as best friends?
We just kind of fell in together. It ain't easy on your own here in the lower city. Everyone's always looking to push you around.
So we noticed. Still, you seem like an odd pair.
When I met up with Zaalbar, it seemed like a pretty good match. I knew we could look out for each other. With my street smarts and his muscle, we make a great team.
Ask some questions.
Well, you came to the right person. If you want info on Lower Taris, I'm the one to talk to. Davik, the lower city gangs. I even got the scoop on that bounty hunter, KotOR.
Tell me about Davik.
Davik's part of the intergalactic crime syndicate, but I guess everyone knows that. But I hear he's got a new ship for his smuggling operations, the Ebon Hawk. I don't know much about space travel, but I hear that ship's fast enough to break the Sith blockade. Of course, this is all just secondhand rumor.
Where would he keep it, do you know?
If Davik does have a ship, he's got it locked up in his estate. Nobody gets in there, except the people working for Davik and the exchange.
You know, it's funny. In all the times, in all the years I've been playing this game, I've never asked her that question before, actually. I always heard about that storyline from Candra's for the first time. Interesting how much they give away up front here. So I guess you guys can tell, like, even if you haven't played this game already, I guess you can tell what we're going to be looking for inside Davik's estate later on. And the exchange, the intergalactic, well, more like transgalactic, I suppose, crime syndicate that she mentioned, that's a much bigger force in the second game than it is in this one. Tell me about the lower city gangs.
There's only two gangs worth worrying about here in the lower city. The Black Vulkars and the Hidden Becks. Sometimes Zaalbar and I hang out at the Beck base. The Becks are led by Gadden Thek. He's a good guy. Lost his sight in a swoop bike accident a few years ago, but even blind, he's a great leader. Not like that traitor Brejik. Before he took over the Vulkars, he was a Hidden Beck. Gadden considered that ungrateful space slug his adopted son.
Now, Gadden Thek is another character that Zane Carrick encountered during his adventures on Taris. And we'll talk more about Gadden when we meet him in a little while. Just for the hell of it. Actually, like, why did Brejik leave the Hidden Becks?
When Gadden went blind, everyone figured he'd step down and appoint Brejik in his place. But Gadden figured Brejik wasn't ready yet. He wanted him to wait a few years. But Brejik was too impatient. He left to join the Vulkars, and ever since, he's been waging a war to wipe Gadden and his Becks from the face of Taris. This gang war in the lower city is totally the Vulkars' fault. They're the ones killing everything that moves out on the streets. It's like they've gone insane.
So what does that sound like? An impatient youth, sort of being groomed for command and to take over, has a mentor who thinks he's moving a little too quickly and not quite ready to take the reins. And so the more conservative and patient mentor says, "Hey kid, wait, just hang on a minute." And the student won't heed the master and leaves and starts up his own group and wages war on his mentor's forces. Well, does that sound familiar to anybody else? A lot of themes, a lot of similar themes going on outside of the Jedi and Sith in this game. Just for the hell of it, why don't you tell me about KotOR? Not that I care.
KotOR's one of the most famous bounty hunters in the galaxy. He's killed more people than the Iridian Plague. I've seen him kill people just for trying to talk to him. He hangs around Zach's bounty office,
So have we.
But I don't think he's looking for work there. All the postings there are small time, way beneath a bounty hunter of his caliber. I figure Callow's been hired by Davik to do a special job for the exchange. I'd wager 1,000 credits that as soon as the quarantine ends, he'll be getting off this rock.
Now, we all know that most Star Wars products outside of the movies try to mimic the movies in some ways and take advantage, or not take advantage, but take inspiration, rather, from those sort of iconic characters, themes, locations, ships, and also character archetypes. And so we had to have, I guess, the badass bounty hunter down here terrorizing people. But KotOR's not really a character in my eyes. He's no Boba Fett. He's not even an IG-88. He's just sort of there. He's one of the weaker antagonists that this game has to offer, in my opinion. I guess that's all for now, Mission. Stop bothering you for now. We'll see you later.
You going? Yeah, this dive is pretty boring. No action around here. Come on, Big Z, let's go. Can't you think about something besides your stomach for 5 minutes? Come on. We'll go see if there's anything good to eat at the Beck base.
Now, I can't remember the name of the voice actress who plays Mission, but I like her a lot. And they brought her back for the Old Republic MMO, and she played Vet, who was also a Rudy and Twi'lek. And it was the one of the companion characters for the Sith Warrior class, I believe. Oh, I forgot about this quest. Well, just for laughs.
Kavadumpa kapalia monapata, bonanakachu.
Can't you see I'm auditioning?
No ba mule rachi kun, tong na bun shanuyang. Tin umpa do punta krita. Ak ti kondo ona chaba chisa wanki. Ti toki grantu kon chichan kun green kanchan to pro. Bok wala no bok cha. Nichi kon chuva kin lorta ikakun.
So, you know, we're kind of on a quest to save the galaxy, and I'm looking for a Jedi hero who can use her battle meditation to end the war with the Sith. But I'm kind of going to stop and take a minute to crash somebody's Teresian idol audition, basically. Taris has got talent, or whatever, basically. Why don't you have a partner?
Kipuna, bonana kichu. Kin ba mulera dwana. Dong kin ba no kudnok nek. Kavanumpa kumpialia monokata. Ranga kun bis kin no moruat. Kakin chana guana bokon. Tangabun shan omnang. Wanga kun bis kin ba mularag. Choni yun tun gigi either dwana. Kava vulpa mulji gumana.
Maybe I could be your partner.
We timembo rangtong. Mulira on shaturing ni patoga wanga chonzi tse. Ika krotu hakujije. Watu yama kama wuna henak nek.
Let's see. I'm good enough to get you through your audition. No, I'm not.
Mana tota hakuji krala
Oh, she didn't fall for it.
Shontang shun kipa unapanka muliri kun kili no ba wati monya la kuna una kun mulira tinku ukapa dopa no aska nisko na akava ambaka.
Dancing isn't just shaking your ass. Well, except for the Corellian cheek slap. Well, what other choice do you have?
Kin kun shi kakachin awana wamata. Nishi la chorga kin kun palamona reji. Ching pala niska mule dun ratatigin potranko. Desercha doma wana kondatama. Rundi I chawa tongbola Johnny Ku. Yumawama nibo lora waisha waga shichi.
Ta kumjus tak miki grabel mogo. Kachichu ita bodunga. Tolbabank wale oganda naru chuchut. Mogesha ponka bola wana chikne. Pamule slimo podadada nanga kumbist mule rabest. Runda di hotonga kun hankabi. Wana kun bez ching palamule tonking ba nunotek. Tokning chatukune mule rabes.
Genchopa chawi tichok twis yun kun. Watu yama kama wuna henak nek. Bugra shak kunti chiwa chawa. Dong abuk shami nonok. Bona na kachu. Kicha badwang. Wanga kum kiba bu mulera. Kakin chak nawa gawa bakon. Donk kiba nukunek. Tong abuk sha nak nong.
Okay, she said not to get too close, so we'll go ahead and dance beside her. This quest would have been a lot more fun and memorable if they got like a character to do this guy. Like a character actor.
Shagji kina lorcha watamwana kin kun shishikin nikin kun ban mularag jikun wama kun best ching pala mule tune rana nu prata donko searcha domatama we timembo rangtong mulira on shaturing ni patoga wanga chonzi tse ika krotu hakujije watu yama kama wuna henak nek.
Join Lynn by running around her in circles. I think I did that when I was like an asshole teenager going on a dark side run, and it's just laughable. Let's see. I think I'll go ahead and dance close behind her.
Tam Boragatong, mulira siyang turong ni na potata tuangachun tize. Gruto haga jijiwa. Wata juma wana hu ama hu natek.
We timembo rangthong. Mulira on shaturing ni patoga wanga chonzitse. Ika krotu hakujije. Watu yama kama wona henak nek.
Let's see, I think we'll go very close and face to face. Even though in the last dance, I think we had the best view in the house already. Oh shit, that was a mistake. I blew it.
Kavatumpa ku peliano momakata. Wanga kubist kiabol mulia. Ka ching chana na wagaba kon. Kavatumpa ku pelion bonantea.
Chachika don mulaka wata yumaka wamahona nek. Ashantington unumani patoka. Wana kuna best chinga pala multonki. Wata wama muliri kin kun shopeshwa. No ba mule raji. Jone yuturi yanchi either bola unchi chinek bahmuli selima wanga kun bitkin.
Chan shok bulara umrao chis kaduchi on chubanjishka yanki titoke gratung kun chicha kun king kachachonobra bogra wala no tumba cha nechi chuna chubaching lorda itakun
Kipuna bona na kichu. Nobody
could be that bad unless they were trying. and yet I was trying. Let's see, I'm sorry, Lynn. I did my best.
Well,
I can't say I feel too bad for this bitch. I mean, she's being quite, I was just trying to help. It's not like she was going to get off the ground anyway. She had no partner. I really screwed that up, but I don't feel too bad about it because she had a bad attitude. So let's see. But yeah, that character, that really, the judge, they should have had somebody like either like someone doing like a Simon Cowell impression, or they should have been like a cigar chomping agent. Like, kid, I'm really going to take you places. I'm going to take you to the stars. Like, that would have made it more memorable. That quest is sort of boring. I'm not even sure that you get much out of it. Even if you do help her, I don't think you get light side points, and certainly not a great deal of experience, so no harm, no foul. Well, except to her career, I guess, whatever. So this is Zax, and unlike Ajur, who is sort of a, I don't want to call Ajur like a legitimate hut. I'm not sure that legitimate huts really exist. I mean, I guess allegedly they do, but I don't know. It's more like a bit of truth and legend, like the legendary legitimate hut out there. But Ajur is operating within the confines of the law, at least on Taris, and this guy is not. This guy is sort of the right hand of the shady criminal undermarket boss, Davik Kang. This is sort of like the public face of that, and he's the head of the bounty office. But the interesting thing about him is that while he... Zax is a very amoral character, not so much immoral. And he just doesn't really care too much one way or the other what's going on around him. He's here to do his job, and he's here to broker deals, and he's there to give the information and collect and pass out money to those collecting on bounties when they do their jobs, and that's about it. He's not there to judge you for how you operate, and he doesn't care whether or not the jobs get done, really. So again, a very amoral character. But the interesting thing about him is that several of the jobs, the majority of them, I guess I actually would say, they're perfectly legitimate pursuits for you to pursue, whether you intend to be a light side or dark side character. So let's get into that. Let's get information about the bounties. We've already solved some of these, of course.
Wanga kumbist king ba mulera ka king chana kokba kon kava dumpa kupa iya botenya ka chichon naifa odunga tau kum justak mike grabil mogo tur pada bunko ya gando danaga chuchut moga shampumpa boya wana chikni ba mul slimo podana wanga kumbist mulera vest rundi haudunga tonkimba nang kunkek wana kumbis chingpa ya mul kunhunkabi tuknen tangjo kunne mulera vest.
Gurney. Even the guy's name, Gurney, and like he works in like a place where they bring corpses, and his name is Gurney, for real. I'm not interested in helping Gurney or Davik, so let's see. I think I know enough about Davik at this point. Tell me about the bounties.
Taris manaris tongjonea hakonong mulera yonunaze jijing wibedwana itawish muline bomone ubana tula boda yamijusa.
I can't see anything wrong with getting rid of people like that, as long as we don't end up on the list of their victims.
Tunirana no prata dunkyo searcha toma toma Kalavul pamulji kumana kinkon shashiken neken kolnova mulera jekun wama kumbes chimpala muli tunirana no prata dunko.
Okay, I don't know about Davik's special contracts. Justice is one thing, but doing a crime lord's dirty work is something else.
Kachichon naifa odunga taukum justak mike grabil mogo turpada bunko ya gando danaga chuchut moga shampumpa boya wana chikni bamul slimo podana wanga kumbist mulira vest.
I want more details on the bounties you're offering.
Rundi haudunga tonkimba nang kunkek wana kumbis chingpa yamul kunhunkabi tuknen tangjo kunne mulirabest.
Now he mentioned he covered all of the bounties that you can potentially collect on. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's 5 in total. Now Largo we've already dealt with. He was the guy that we met in the Upper City Northern apartments. He was a neighbor of where he was hiding out near that Sith party where we got our uniforms. So we already helped him pay off his debt, so he's taken care of. Of course, if we were Darkside, we'd go back and kill him and collect the bounty. Now Dia, she can potentially actually be the first person that you talk to, the first quest that you pick up in the entire game, because she's in the apartment like immediately next door to our own hideout in Upper City South, and we will go back and talk to her later. Matrix is interesting. I'll go ahead and let Zax fill us in about him.
Tunirana prata tunkyo searcha toma toma Kalavul pamulji kumana kinkon shashiken neken kolnova mulera jekun wama kumbes chimpala muli tunirana no prata dunko kachichon naifa odunga Taukum justak mike grabilmoga. Torpada vonko eyagando danaga chuchut. Moga shampumpa boyawana chikni. Bamul slimo podana wanga kumbist mulirabest. Rundi hautonga tonkimba nang kongkek. Wana kumbis chingpayamul kunhunkabi. Tuknen tangjo kunne mulirabest.
So, Matrix, as was pointed out to us, was sort of a menial. I don't want to call him employee, but just sort of a thug in the employ of Davik, the local crime boss here on Taris. And he basically became a rat and helped the authorities on Taris put away a lot of Davik's people, and it cost him a lot in court proceedings and disrupted a lot of his operations. So that's basically the reason why there's a hit put out on him. Didn't the government protect Matrix after the trials? So the Sith took over and just start isolating different pockets of the government and shutting down those departments because they don't feel like expending the resources. So they just shut down the witness protection program. Think about that. Think about all the potential hundreds of thousands of stories going on all around this planet that where people might be being impacted by just the Sith being too damn lazy to do their jobs. They move in and they take control of a planet, and they're able to keep control of the planet by not controlling the planet, just sort of letting it letting it go to pot, basically. Davik's bounties sound more like contract killings. So to Zax, it's all, potato. You do it or don't. Who cares? I just need these jobs to get done. And he tries talking you into doing the government sanctioned killings or bounties, which result in killings. That you can't take anybody alive in this particular game. And let's learn more about those two. Oh, he wants to charge me 100 credits for information. I'm not gonna pay that just to ask some questions. I'll be going. Now, I believe I already know enough about this, but let's see. So Dia, we're gonna help her out. We're not gonna turn her in. Matrix, he's interesting, and we'll talk more about how to deal with him when we meet him. Selvin and Bendak are the two that are the official government contracts that you can legally collect on. Bendak, we've kind of already been introduced to a little bit. I don't think we haven't actually spoken to him, but he's been mentioned. He's the legendary duelist who has killed hundreds of people in illegal dueling ring matches right here on Taris. And Bendak is he has a whole character history that was outlined in the Knights of the Republic campaign guide, and we can go over that when it's time to go speak with him. But he is basically he's the only one that I think he's the only bounty that you're forced, if you pursue it, you'll get dark side points. There's no way to resolve it otherwise. Now Selvin is interesting. Selvin is an assassin, and I'm actually going to talk to Zax again to refresh my memory on this, but she has history with the Organa family from Alderaan, and also with the Olgos, who we met Trask Olgo. He was our bunkmate on the Endar Spire, the one that took us through the tutorial level, and was killed by Darth Bandon. Now, we don't know who Darth Bandon is at this point in time, but he is actually the apprentice of Darth Malak, the reigning Dark Lord of the Sith. And Trask Olgo, he sort of comes across as like this sort of character that doesn't matter, and really in the grand scheme of things he doesn't. He's just there to take you through the tutorial level, but his family at least has an interesting history, which is mentioned again. It's more thoroughly explored in the Old Republic MMO, where his legacy has been remembered by his surviving descendants. Now, there are names that sort of span the Star Wars timeline, famous family names. Bastila Shan being a good example of that. Her and Revan's bloodline carry on her name. Of course, you've got the Fets. You've got, like, later in the film era, of course, you got Skywalkers and Solos and so on and so forth. But the Organa family name, of course, is a big one, and it's something that's notably absent from this game, aside from this one exchange. The game is pretty good about not giving hackneyed or super obvious, or even just outright contrived connections where none are needed. But in this particular case, they go on to mention that the Organa family had some sort of beef with the Olga family, as both were powerful and influential families that had mercantile sort of they were the head of well, I need to refresh my memory, but in any case, they had rival business ventures going on, and that's how Selvin got involved, because one of the families contracted her services to take out members of the other. And I believe, interestingly enough, that it's the Organa family that contacted her. And, when we think about Bail Organa, Leia Organa, we think of like these sort of nobles, like they're very, they're good people, to put it sort of blandly, or simply, I should say, without going into too much detail. But, this is 4,000 years ago, and it's nice that a family line can, when you trace its roots back, it's not just all 100% decent, hardworking, morally just people. There was some corruption in that family line at one point in time. There's no doubt about that, as we see. Tell me about the assassin Selvin.
Wanga kumbist king ba mulera ka king chana kokba kon kava tumpa kupa iya botenya tunirana no prata tunkyo searcha toma kava vulpa mulji kumana king kon shashi king neken kon nova mulera jekun wama kumbis chimbala muli.
So Selvin took out the Olgo's entire family here on Taris. Again, that family line is based on Alderaan, but a whole branch of it existed here. They were like a powerful merchant family here on Taris. And again, in a place where that would mean something, because Taris, as I told you in the previous episode, was a galactic trading hub. These were people with resources, and she still managed to take every single one of them out. And on one singular occasion, she took out 6 of them, not including their bodyguards. Just gunned down 6 of them in the street and took on the bodyguards. And that was only one day. This campaign against the Olgos took some time. So she has quite the body count. Did they ever find out who hired Sylvan to kill them all? So there we have it. We have no proof of who hired her to do this, but the moment her job is complete, the Organa family comes out and speaks against her and demands that the government put out a bounty against her because this Sylvan is too dangerous. Like, nobody's safe as long as she's loose. Meanwhile, the Organas are known to be the biggest rivals of Clan Olgo, and their rivals have all been wiped out. And so they're trying to silence the silencer now in an attempt to keep the secret from being known. And also they get to save face. And it's sort of like hitting three birds with one stone. They now no longer have any competition. So yeah, I mean, it would seem that the Organa family at one time was quite shady. But that's enough about all that. So I think we got enough to be getting on with at the moment. We'll deal with the bounties after a while. One of them you can deal with right here in this very place where you talk to Holden. He's the one that is put the bounty out on Dia, our next door neighbor. But we'll deal with him later. I'm not sure what goes on in this room.
Uchua penki, tong itwama ji human ak in ikatune, chi ita kanki chana kilikon, chiwa aita kanki.
Sorry, I didn't mean to offend you.
Ki mulira kun king, tong hitwama ak inkotune.
Just want to ask some questions.
Ciao baso, Gino molira ni bubo, tong king ba, no kun nexag.
What planet are you from?
Patoga yakfuli kokala Gigi. Tingkuin koka tong hitwana ji sarkat agi inko tune chuna muli ra tongpa nongku nek abog smilia. Tingkuin koka patoga yakfuli kokala Gigi.
The Prelemian trade route. That's another one of the major trade routes. Talked a little bit about that in the prior episode. I like little details like that, where there are aliens who come from worlds where they literally require 2 mouths or 4 throats or whatever to speak a language or to say a word properly. And they require more than 2 ears to hear that sound and hear all those different little nuances that were articulated to them. We are literally incapable of speaking their language. Can you tell me more about your homeworld?
Tofana ota vokasa, pampa ki mulira kun king. Changwaba chinyo shangwi chama ucha wish uyong kun.
I notice your other head doesn't say much.
Kimba no kun nik docha. Patisa.
Implying that it is telepathic, perhaps? What kind of creature are you?
Ki mulira kun king. Tong hitwama ag inko tune. Kakin cha nawabagaon. Bagwa shank konti machit
See a number of these sort of guys throughout the game. I think one of them has a shop on Tatooine. Yeah, we'll come back in here and explore a little bit more later. I'm going to be wrapping up here soon. We're getting to the hour and 20-minute mark. I think we got about enough time to go meet the hidden Becks and advance the plot a little bit more, and then we'll sign off for the day. Oh, here we go. I always thought this interaction was ridiculous.
Hey, you can't just walk in here. This is the hidden Beck base. How do I know you're not a Vulcar spy sent to kill Gadon Thek?
I need Gadon's help. I was told to speak with him.
A lot of people want to go inside and speak to Gadon. He's a hero of the common folk. But the days of the hidden Beck's open door policy are gone. Between the Sith conquest and the Vulcar gang war, Gadon has more enemies than he used to. We're being careful about who we let in now.
Mm-hmm. They're being very careful about who they let in now. Maybe I could be an ally against all those enemies.
Well, we do need all the help we can get. And you don't look like you're with the Vulcars or the Sith. Besides, it's not like you can do anything to harm Gadon in the heart of his own base. Not with Zerdra watching his back.
That's some very blatant expository dialogue there. So you're just gonna let me in?
Go in and speak to Gadon if you want. Just remember to be on your best behavior. The hidden Becks are watching you.
So she literally is like, hey, you can't go in there. Never mind, go in. Worst guard ever. And she even told me the name of the person guarding him. It's this person, Zaedra. I mean, what if I was an assassin? I now have all the information I need. So like I told you, this group here is a lot more eclectic. You got Aqualish there, you got a Twi'lek roaming around, you got many Twi'leks roaming around, mostly Twi'leks actually. Look at that. Nothing but Twi'leks. They got Twi'leks coming out the ass here. And then over here we have a fantastically voiced Gadon Thek, voiced by Phil Lamar, one of my favorite voice actors. Again, credits are extensive, long career. Hermes Conrad from the Futurama, Jon Stewart, the Green Lantern from Justice League and Justice League Unlimited. He played Samurai Jack, for Christ's sake. I mean, like, Static Shock. I mean, which wasn't one of my favorite shows, but still entertaining. Very long list of credits. Great voice actor.
Hold it right there.
Oh.
Who are you, and what is your business with
Okay,
Gadon?
just
calm down, Zerdra.
fuck up my flow like that.
Nobody's going to try anything here in the middle of our own base. It would be a suicide mission.
You're too trusting, Gadon. Brejik and his Vulcars want you dead. Anyone we don't know is a potential threat, and it's my job to make sure you're safe.
Do you want us to start attacking strangers on sight, Zerdra? Like the Vulcars do? I will never let it come to that. Now step aside and let them pass.
As you wish. You can speak to Gadon if you want, but I've got my eye on you. You try anything and you'll be vaporized before you can say Vulcar spy.
I'm not sure who voices her, but again, like, very well voiced. Like, I bought that whole interaction. And I also like the way she looks. She sort of looks different from most of the Twi'leks that you see. They do that every now and then. There's a few, her, Yathura Ban on Korriban, who we'll meet later, who have distinctive looks that sort of differentiate them and their characters from everyone else in the setting. Gadon Thek also has a unique feature because he is blinded by a swoop bike accident that Mission alluded to earlier, and you can see that in his eyes. In his character model, they made it clear that he's different from most of the people you meet.
You'll have to forgive Zerdra. Ever since Brejik and the Vulcars began this war against us, she's been a little overzealous in her security duties. The problems with the Sith haven't helped things. Zerdra seems to forget that I know how to look after myself. Now, how can I help you?
You have problems with the Sith?
A foreign army invades Taris, declares martial law, and locks down all travel to and from the planet? You damn well bet I have a problem with that. If the Sith ever moved in down here, all the swoop gangs would unite against them. We'd use hit-and-run guerrilla tactics to pick them off. Their casualties would be enormous.
Don't fool yourself. The Sith would never commit to that kind of operation. They'd probably do something much more grand and deadly.
But so far, the Sith have stayed out of the lower city, and our strength is wasted on this stupid gang war. I tried to explain this to Brejik, but he and his Vulcars won't listen.
It's interesting, the interaction he just had with Karth. They're both right. We don't know it from this game, but Gadon Thek has experience doing exactly what he just said. He and his gang were pretty much the only meaningful resistance during the siege of Taris committed by the Mandalorians. Now, the Mandalorians were the Mandalorians, and they sort of sussed out what was going on and used their superior military intelligence and strategy and just knack to basically subvert the... They were trying to assassinate Cassus Fett, and Gavin Thek and his Hidden Becks in league with Zane Carrick, who became one of their allies. They were trying to assassinate the Mandalorian leadership, and things went awry. But at the same time, you can see that those years of Mandalorian occupation, that failure to eliminate Cassus Fett on that occasion, all that, it hasn't done anything to dampen his spirit. He is very much the same person he was then. In the way that he's talking, he would walk it if he was able to. If the Sith came down here in droves, Gavin Thek would do exactly as he says. But as I said, Karth is also correct. The Sith wouldn't do that. In part, maybe because they realize that they don't have the home turf, they don't have the home field advantage. They don't know this place the way that Gadden does. He would be able to use his guerrilla tactics, as he mentioned. And the Sith wouldn't chance that and don't have a need to. They would respond with a deadlier, sort of altogether insurmountable force, which we will see later. So again, an interesting example of both of them having points to make there. I need some information about those Republic escape pods that crashed in the Undercity.
The escape pods? You know, I heard the Sith have been asking around the Upper City about them as well. But you don't look like you're with the Sith.
They might be spies, Gadden. They might be working for the Sith.
Calm down, Zerdra. If the Sith thought we knew anything useful, they'd have a battalion of troops kicking down our door. No, I think this off-worlder has his own agenda.
Don't worry. I'm not working with the Sith. Lost track of how many times I've said that already.
I suppose I could tell you what I know. It's not like it could do any harm to me or my gang. But it might cause problems for the Vulkars. And that's okay in my book. The Vulkars stripped those pods clean within hours after they landed. It's too bad we didn't get there first, considering what my spies reported the Vulkars found. A female Republic officer named Bastila survived the crash. We Becks don't believe in intergalactic slavery, but the Vulkars aren't so picky. They took her prisoner.
Bastila's a slave? What will happen to her now?
Normally, the Vulkars would take a captured slave and sell them for a nice profit to Davik, or an off-world slaver. But a Republic officer is no ordinary catch.
They still think Bastila's just a Republic officer. That could work to our advantage. Maybe she'll even figure out a way to escape from the Vulkar base on her own.
She's too valuable to leave with the Vulkar scum at the base. Brejik's probably got your Republic friend hidden away somewhere safe until the big swoop race. You'll never find her.
What does that have to do with the swoop race?
I'm afraid your friend has become a pawn in Brejik's game to take over the lower city. He's offered her up as the Vulkar's share of the prize in the annual swoop gang race. By putting up such a valuable prize, Brejik hopes to win the loyalty of some of the smaller gangs. Their numbers will allow him to finally destroy me and my followers.
So how do you propose we go about rescuing Bastila then? Well, we can't fight all the gangs.
The only hope you have of rescuing Bastila is to somehow win the big season opener of the swoop race.
Can you help me with this?
I might be able to help you with this. If you'd be willing to help us. We both have something to gain here, and much to lose.
What are you proposing?
The swoop race is for the lower city gangs only. I could sponsor you as a rider for the Hidden Becks this year. If you win the race, you'll win your friend's freedom. But first, you have to do something for me. My mechanics have developed an accelerator for a swoop engine. A bike with the accelerator installed can beat any other swoop out there. But the Vulkars stole the prototype from us. They plan to use it to guarantee a victory in this year's swoop race. I need you to break into their base and steal it back.
How am I supposed to get inside the Vulkar base?
Getting into the Vulkar base won't be easy. The front doors are locked tight. But I know someone who might be able to get you in the back way. Mission Veo.
Mission? Gadden, you can't be serious. She's just a kid. How is she supposed to help them with this?
Mission's explored every step of every back alley in the lower city. Plus, she knows the undercity sewers better than anyone. If anyone can get inside the Vulkar base, it's her.
Where can I find Mission?
She and her Wookiee friend Zaalbar are always looking to stir up a little excitement. They like to go exploring in the Undercity, despite the dangers. Your best bet is to look for her in the Undercity, but you'll need some way past the Sith guard post at the elevator.
I've got some Sith uniforms to disguise myself.
A simple disguise might have worked on the Upper City guard, but the security down here is much tougher. You'll need the proper papers to get past him. Luckily, my gang ambushed one of the Sith patrols headed down to the Undercity. They never made it, and their security papers fell into my hands. Since we're working together now, I suppose I could give them to you in exchange for your uniforms. With the security papers, you won't need a disguise anyway.
What do you want with the Sith uniforms?
I like to be prepared. Eventually, the Sith are going to try to drive us out of the Undercity. Sith disguises might give my people the edge we need in a crucial battle.
Interesting how, like, the situation down here has forced everyone to be smart and cagey, you know? It's sort of like that, what's that expression, you know? I guess it's like, I completely lost the expression of what I was going with, but it's sort of like evolution, basically. You know, it weeds out the people that, it's like sort of a natural selection. You got to be smart down here to survive. And the Sith in the comfortable Upper City, they're a bunch of dumbasses who, you know, they don't look twice at anything because they're kind of on autopilot. The Sith down here, they're in the shit. They're paranoid. And Gadden Thek, you know, he's the same way, but I mean, it makes sense. You know, he believes in being prepared. He sees the writing on the wall and he wants to be prepared. So I like that. I like all these little details and the different atmosphere. Even though, again, one of the funny things about Star Wars that people complain about or just sort of even poke fun of at it, not so much even complain, they just poke fun at it, is like every planet is just like the same. Like, okay, Tatooine's the desert planet. You know, Kashyk's a forest planet, whatever. But even on this one planet that we've been on, there's all these different little these different little micro environments that all have their own distinct flavors and feelings to them. And this is just one expression of that. I really enjoy that. Anyway, I'll go ahead and trade my uniform for the papers, even though it means I can no longer harass the citizens of Taris by pretending to be a Sith.
Good choice. Thanks for the uniforms. You won't need them with these security papers anyway. Now, is there anything else I can do for you?
And again, the way he conducts himself, you know, I trust this man. I know a lot about his backstory from the comic books and how he's very clearly sort of a chaotic good sort of character, so I've got no qualms with him. But if it was your first time playing the game and you're going, I don't know about this guy so much, he's a little shady, this might get sketchy working with a gang, he says things like thank you. He doesn't make demands, he makes bargains. He talks to you like you're a person. He respects Mission, who we've already met and can see that she's, you know, pretty benevolent and smart kid. So yeah, I'm on board with the Becks. Got no problem with them. I'll be back when I have that prototype accelerator.
I suggest you hurry. The swoop race is coming up, and we want you to have time to practice before the race.
So, if memory serves, there's not much in the way of loot around this place. I've explored the place before, and I've never found anything worth taking, so I'm going to go ahead and clear out from here. And really the only reason why you would ever go further than this room in this particular game is if you decide to go the dark path. I guess that's an example of you doing more work for to do the dark path. I mentioned there's not that many options for that in this game. But if you choose the dark side route, you have to come back here and assassinate Gadden, and that security door over there leads to sort of the other levels of this base. But yeah, I certainly don't plan on doing that. So this is pretty much the extent of what you're going to see in the Beck base from me. And I've been recording for about an hour and a half. I think I've, shared my share of lore for the day. And I have been sitting on my ass for too long. Time to go take a walk. So we're going to hang up the phone right now today, guys, and I will join you later this week with more lore from Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. See you then.